Have you ever wondered if someone far away could suddenly think of you, miss you, crave your presence, without a single word being spoken? What if I told you that this is not only possible, but predictable, and entirely within your control? I once found myself in the quiet of my room, wondering if a person I dearly loved, who had been gone for some time, still thought of me. There had been no contact, no letters, not even a whisper of their whereabouts, yet something in me insisted I could reach them, not through phone calls, not through letters, but by something far more powerful: telepathy, the use of the subconscious mind to send mental signals, vivid feelings and silent images. I sat in my chair, closed my eyes, and began to imagine their face, the way they used to smile, the sound of their voice, the warmth of their presence. I imagined them missing me, aching with the same longing I felt. I imagined it until it felt real, until it was natural. That night I assumed it so deeply that I slept in that conviction. Within 3 days I received a letter. Unexpected, sudden, and filled with emotion. "I can't stop thinking about you," they wrote. "Something has drawn me to you." That was not coincidence. That was the law. You can do the same. You can use the power of imagination, the law of assumption, and your own mental connection to create a bond so magnetic that the other person feels your absence as a kind of internal pull. This is not manipulation. It is divine communication, and it begins within. To make someone miss you through telepathy, you must assume the end. Don't start from lack. Don't beg or plead in your thoughts. Instead, assume they already miss you. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and create a mental scene in which they are longing for you. Make it vivid. Perhaps they're pacing around their room, thinking of your name, or lying in bed, replaying your laughter. The telepathic message must begin in the end result. Creation is finished. It only waits for you to accept it. Thoughts alone are not enough. It is the emotional projection that sends the message. Feel the sorrow of absence, not in desperation, but in power. Feel the weight of your love. When you generate strong emotional energy while visualizing them missing you, that vibrational alignment connects with their subconscious mind, like a silent call across invisible space. Feeling is the secret. It always has been. You may not speak with them aloud, but you are always speaking to them within. These inner conversations are sacred transmissions. If you imagine them ignoring you, they will. But if you speak within and hear them saying, "I can't get you out of my mind," they will begin to echo that reality. Telepathy works best through the discipline of mental focus. Your internal dialogue must be clear, simple, and filled with loving authority. The doorway to their mind is open when yours is relaxed. Just before sleep, when the conscious mind fades, your thoughts become most powerful. In this twilight state, imagine a scene where they reach for their phone to text you, or cry softly, remembering your touch. These impressions bypass the logical mind and reach directly into the heart. The subconscious mind communication is clearest in stillness. Never dwell in "why aren't they here?" that magnifies the gap. Instead, align with their energy by feeling what it's like to already be with them. To use thought transmission, you must first vibrate with the feeling of love, not lack. Match their spiritual frequency by imagining both of you on the same wavelength of love, yearning, and connection. They will sense it. Assumption is not passive. It is creative. Tell yourself, right now, they are wondering what I'm doing. Believe it with calm certainty. This silent influence begins to shift their emotional world. You'll begin to notice signs, a sudden dream, a message, their name popping up on your screen. These are not signs to chase, but confirmations that your assumption is working. The moment you try to force it, you disconnect. After you've sent your telepathic message, let go. Trust that the law of consciousness is operating in perfect order. If you constantly check your phone, you're telling the mind it hasn't worked. Instead, live in the state of having already received the love, the message, the return. The bridge of incidents will unfold naturally. One session may spark the connection, but repetition builds the highway. Telepathy is not an emergency flare. It is a gentle stream of consistent thoughts. Set aside time daily, preferably at night, to send your love, your yearning, your presence to them. Each time you do, you strengthen the spiritual bond. Soon they will feel compelled, not out of logic, but from soul, to reach out. Everything begins in the imagination. That which is not yet seen is more real than what is seen, for the seen is merely the result of what was once imagined. To send a telepathic message is not to reach outward, it is to enter inward with conviction. The outer man thinks that communication is spoken word, written language, physical signal, but the inner man knows otherwise. The true act of reaching someone happens not with your lips, but with your assumption. If you would have them miss you, long for you, ache in the silence of your absence, you must not desire it as something to happen, but claim it as something already accomplished. Imagine for a moment that the person you love is far away. There has been no word, no message, no whisper of return. The temptation is to long, to wonder, to worry. But none of these produce results. They merely reflect more absence. The law is not one of begging, it is one of being. If you wish to be missed, to be burned into someone's memory, you must become the version of yourself who is already being missed. You must become the one whose presence lingers in their space, whose absence aches in their chest. This is not accomplished by pleading, it is accomplished by inward embodiment. Sit in a quiet place, remove the noise of the outer world, and enter the sanctuary of imagination. See the scene not as a hope, but as an event fulfilled. Perhaps they are walking through their home, distracted, unable to focus. They pause, suddenly caught in the sensation of longing. They touch their chest, whisper your name, pick up their phone, then put it down. Unsure of why you are flooding their thoughts, this scene is yours to create. Paint it with detail. Add the emotion. Feel it as if it were happening now. You must not observe it. You must participate in it. You must feel their craving, not imagine it from a distance, but accept it as your present reality. To live from the end means that you do not wait for the event to validate your belief. You reverse the process. You let the belief give birth to the event. Do not concern yourself with how the message is delivered, whether through a dream, a sudden urge, a memory, or a synchronicity. It is not yours to determine. Your only role is to inhabit the fulfilled desire. That is where the power lies. Many think of telepathy as some rare or mystical gift reserved for the gifted few. But this is not so. It is a natural law operating silently in the background of all human interaction. Every thought you think toward another is sent. Every feeling you impress upon yourself is impressed upon them if it is persistent and sincere. The connection is not created, it is already there. You are simply tuning the signal. You are not forging a new bond. You are activating one that always existed beneath the surface of time and space. You do not need to tell them you miss them. You do not need to write or call or plead. In the unseen, you are already known. The only requirement is that you believe in the unseen more than you believe in the seen, that you favor your inner state over the apparent facts of the world. When you dwell in the assumption that they miss you, something in them is stirred. The spiritual cord is tightened. They may not understand why, but they will feel it. They will feel the pull. That pull is the evidence of your inner act. Every result you see in your world begins as an invisible cause. To use this power is not to manipulate, but to create. You are not bending their will. You are awakening a truth that already lives in consciousness. You are not forcing them to feel. You are revealing to yourself that they already do. That is the paradox. It does not begin with a wish. It begins with a knowing. You do not try to become someone who is missed. You are already that. You step into the state and wear it like a garment. Ask yourself, what would it feel like if they could not stop thinking about you? What would it feel like if they were lying awake at night, wondering where you are? That feeling, raw, rich, alive, is your doorway. Step through it. Do not peek at it. Live in it. And the longer you dwell in that naturalness, the more inevitable its reflection becomes. The world must yield to your inner reality. Do not send signals out with desperation. That repels. Send them with serenity, with peace, with the quiet authority of someone who knows it is already so. The mind that knows is the creative mind. The mind that doubts is the passive receiver of circumstance. Be the sender. Be the one who constructs and delivers the experience in the unseen, and then watches with wonder as the scene bends to match it. To send a telepathic message that they miss you is not to hope they will. It is to claim that they already do. That is the law. That is the beginning. That is the end. Feeling is the only real transmitter in this great invisible system of thought. It is not what you say or think in mechanical terms that sends your desire into the world. It is what you feel as true. Without feeling, a thought is lifeless, like a letter never posted. It may be written, composed, and addressed, but unless you place it in the mailbox of emotion, it goes nowhere. When it comes to impressing another with a sense of longing or love, feeling is the carrier of your message. It is the soul behind your thought, and the soul must be awakened if the transmission is to be received. Let us not confuse intellectual affirmation with true spiritual communication. You may repeat to yourself all day long that someone misses you, that someone is thinking of you, but if there is no corresponding emotion within you, it is simply air. The mind may recite, but only the heart can send. So when you desire someone to think of you, to miss you deeply, you must assume that feeling within yourself and allow it to fully possess you. You must feel their absence not as pain, but as magnetic. You must feel your own presence as so rich and unforgettable that they are drawn to you, compelled by a force they cannot name. Imagination with feeling is the secret key. If you imagine a scene where they are thinking of you, that scene must be soaked in the emotion of yearning. Feel what they would feel. Place yourself inside their body, their heart, their experience. Are they walking through the park and suddenly hear a song that reminds them of you? Feel the ache. Are they looking at the empty seat beside them where you used to be? Feel the hollow silence. This is not fantasy, it is creation. You are generating the emotional landscape that reaches beyond space and touches their subconscious directly. There is no resistance in the invisible. Only in the mind of man is there resistance. And that resistance is caused by doubt, by fear, by apathy. When you feel with certainty, with clarity, with depth, the message cannot be blocked. It moves like a vibration through the great ocean of consciousness. It travels to the object of your desire, not because you force it, but because it is natural. Just as sound travels through air and light moves through space, emotion travels through mind. It is the most accurate language of the soul. To send this message of being missed, you must first become familiar with the state of being missed. What does it feel like to be the one who lingers in memory? What does it feel like to be the one who haunts another's heart? It is not arrogance, it is certainty. There is a gentleness to it, not aggression. It feels like grace, like a beautiful fragrance that remains after you've left the room. That is the feeling you must conjure and dwell in. And when you enter this feeling, stay there, let it take root. Do not rush to check for evidence. The desire to prove cuts the cord. Instead, walk as one who knows. Carry yourself with the knowing that someone somewhere is thinking of you right now, is missing you in ways they do not yet understand. And because you have assumed this reality, it is now alive. It will gather its own evidence. It will find the right moment, the right bridge of incidents, the right series of impressions to deliver your message to their door. This is not emotional fantasy. This is spiritual law. You have been given the gift of feeling for this very reason, not merely to react to the world, but to create it. Feeling is the substance of the unseen world. It shapes, molds, and energizes every possibility. A scene without feeling is a lifeless form. But when the scene is filled with intense emotion, it comes alive. It becomes a seed planted in the garden of the mind, and nothing can stop it from blooming. So many speak their desires, yet do not feel them. So many dream with words, but not with heart. But you must be different. You must be bold enough to feel it as real before it becomes fact. You must feel the arms that miss you, wrapping around a memory. You must feel the tears that fall when your name is whispered. You must feel the desire burning in the one you love as if it were your own. That union of feeling creates a link that defies reason. And as you move through your day, carry this emotional blueprint with you. Let it be your atmosphere. Do not betray it by acting contrary. Do not gossip. Do not doubt. Do not slip into sadness. You are the one who is missed, longed for, remembered. Let your actions reflect this. Let your mind rest in the feeling that it is already so. When the feeling is natural, when it becomes your dwelling place, the outer world must echo it. The person will feel it. They will think of you with sudden intensity. They will wake with your name in their mind. They will reach for their phone. They will speak your name, and they will not know why, but you will, because you felt it first. There is a conversation that never ceases. Though no one may hear it with the ears, it speaks louder than any voice you could raise. It is the dialogue that happens within you, the thoughts you repeat, the images you hold, the tone of your inner speaking. These are not idle, they are formative. They are seeds. And just as surely as seeds take root and bloom when nurtured, so too do these inner conversations manifest themselves outwardly. What you say within is received by others without. They do not hear your words with the ear, but they feel them as impressions, nudges, impulses. If you desire to be missed, remembered, or thought of with affection and urgency, then you must take dominion over your inner speech. If you say to yourself, they don't care, you've just sent that message out like a whisper on the wind. And that wind reaches them. Perhaps not in a literal sense, but in sensation, in intuition, in mood. A person suddenly feels indifferent, even distant, and cannot explain why. Yet it was your own interior declaration that traveled through the unseen current and took root in their field of consciousness. You did not mean to create it, but you allowed it. The inner world, then, is not a rehearsal ground. It is the stage upon which everything is first performed before it appears in the theater of time. Now imagine you speak within and say, they're thinking of me now, they are wondering what I'm doing, they are missing me more with every hour. If that is spoken with belief and emotional weight, then it becomes a creative decree. It forms a bridge from your soul to theirs. The conscious mind may scoff at this and say, they're not even near me, I've heard nothing. But the conscious mind is not the creator. It is merely the observer. It watches what the inner man decides, and the inner man has no limits. You are always impressing others, whether you are aware of it or not. The question is not, am I sending messages? But what kind of messages am I sending? When you dwell on the fear that someone has forgotten you, when you repeat to yourself that you are not wanted, you are unintentionally constructing an image that others respond to. It is no different than sculpting a statue and asking why it appears so. You made it. You held a chisel. You carved it with inner speech. To use this truth wisely, you must craft a new internal monologue. You must speak to yourself in ways that reflect the end you desire, not the state you fear. If you want them to miss you, then speak as one who is already missed. Say to yourself, they woke this morning with my name on their mind. Feel the truth of it as though it had already occurred. When you say, they are reaching for me in thought, it is not a lie, it is the beginning of truth. For truth is not what the eyes see, it is what the imagination accepts. When you do this consistently, you will find something remarkable begins to happen. Their behavior shifts, their manner changes, they speak to you differently, or they return after long silence. The world adjusts, not because you manipulated someone, but because you altered the image you held of yourself in their mind. The impression you formed in the silence of your soul became too strong to be denied. The subconscious is sensitive to repetition and tone. The more frequently you speak inwardly with love, certainty, and confidence, the more deeply the suggestion penetrates. And when you are tempted to return to the old dialogue, when the silence grows long or the doubt grows loud, you must remember your power. You must say again, not as a ritual, but as a reality. They are longing for me now. My image is alive in their mind. I am present in their inner world. When that becomes your dominant conversation, you will begin to notice changes, not just in them, but in you. You will walk differently. You will carry yourself with quiet authority. You will begin to embody the very thing you seek. It is not what you beg for outwardly, but what you claim inwardly that forms the world around you. And every time you imagine their voice, every time you hear them say your name in your mind, you are choosing the version of reality you wish to experience. Do not take that lightly. The subconscious of another is open to your suggestion when you speak from love and certainty. That is not intrusion, it is invitation. You are calling forth the highest in them to meet the highest in you. If you catch yourself thinking contrary to your desire, do not condemn yourself. Simply revise. Say, that is not what I meant. Let me say it again and speak anew, as though the old thought never occurred. You are not at the mercy of the mind, you are its master. You are the architect of your own inner world, and in that world you are always planting. Let every word be deliberate. Let every conversation be sacred. You will come to know that the moment you consistently speak within, as one who is already remembered, already missed, already cherished, the outer reflection cannot help but align. The person will think of you, miss you, speak your name, and feel compelled to reconnect, not through pressure, but through the invisible persuasion of your unwavering assumption. There is a sacred threshold we cross each night, a gentle borderland between waking and sleep. It is here, in this drowsy state, that creation becomes effortless. This in-between moment, when the mind is no longer bound by reason, but not yet surrendered to unconscious rest, is the most potent doorway to the subconscious. It is not a time to be wasted with idle thoughts. It is the divine hour when impressions made upon the mind sink deeper and therefore manifest faster. In this state, belief is more easily accepted, and the voice of imagination speaks without resistance. To influence the subconscious, to reach another person through the unseen channel of thought, you must learn to use this drowsy state wisely. It is not force, but surrender. Not effort, but stillness. When the body is relaxed, when the senses are quieted, the gate of the subconscious swings open, and what you impress at that moment will move with silent command into the outer world. This is not theory, it is law. It is the way all things come into being. If you desire someone to miss you, to remember you with longing, to feel your absence as presence, then the drowsy state is your highest altar. It is not in the frantic hours of the day that creation happens. It is in the whispering stillness of night. Before you drift into sleep, do not let the world dictate your final thoughts. Instead, retreat into the wish fulfilled. Lie down with your body at rest and your imagination alive. Close your eyes, not in escape, but in creation. Construct a scene. One simple, short, vivid scene. It could be them looking at your photo with tears in their eyes. It could be them reaching for their phone to call you and then pausing, overwhelmed with emotion. It could be a memory they replay of laughter, closeness, warmth that now leaves them aching with absence. Make it real. Not abstract, not vague. Use detail. Let the image form with texture, sound, and sensation. And most of all, let the feeling of that moment rise within you. Do not wait to feel it, induce it. Create the feeling. That is your act of faith. As you lie still, let the emotions swell. Not desperation, but fulfillment. You are not asking to be missed. You are assuming that you already are. You are not hoping to be thought of. You are living in the assumption that your presence is alive in their mind. The feeling of that naturalness is the signal that reaches them, and the subconscious, both yours and theirs, is receptive in that shared twilight. The reason this state is so powerful is because the conscious mind, the gatekeeper, the critic, the doubter, is growing quiet. It is no longer arguing with your desire. It is no longer questioning timing, possibility, or logic. It drifts, and in that drifting, your thoughts become impressions. They are no longer just ideas. They are commands. They do not ask, they assume. And the subconscious, which accepts without filter, takes them in as fact. When this becomes a nightly practice, your inner world begins to shift. You go to bed not with worry, but with certainty, not with longing, but with possession. And over time, this inner confidence begins to move into the outer world. You will receive signs, odd, small, perfectly timed, a message, a dream they had, a mention of your name, a sudden return. It may seem spontaneous, but it is not. It is the harvest of what you planted nightly in silence. This is not about intensity or repetition. It is about immersion. You do not need hours. Just a few quiet minutes before sleep, when your mind is most fertile, is enough. In those minutes, become what you seek. Let your breath slow. Let your body feel the softness of the bed and enter the scene. Dwell in it. Do not try to control it. Like a film you already know. See their eyes, feel their emotion, hear their inner voice, say what you've always longed to hear. Let that be the last impression you carry into the land of dreams. Even if nothing changes immediately in the outer world, do not be discouraged. The unseen is always ahead of the seen. The moment the seed is sown, the growth begins, but the roots form before the flower appears. Continue the practice. Night after night, sow the feeling of being remembered, missed, and loved. Trust that the act of impressing the subconscious is enough. It does not fail. It does not forget. It brings forth what is believed in silence. Eventually, the person you thought of so deeply, so often in that sacred hour, will feel something stir. They will not know why, but they will think of you. They will recall something you said, a look you gave, the sound of your voice, and they will miss you, just as you had imagined, because you imagined it. You cannot attract what you are not in harmony with. This is a truth that governs all creation, especially when it comes to people and relationships. If your desire is to be missed, to be thought of, to be drawn back into the heart of another, you must not live in the feeling of lack. That which you seek must be assumed to be already yours, already unfolding, already accomplished in the unseen. To focus on absence is to multiply absence, but to align with the energy of their presence, to assume connection, to feel the pull of love as though it is active now, is to call it forth from the invisible into the visible. It is a subtle thing. Many believe they are manifesting union when in truth they are affirming separation. They speak of desire, but their minds dwell on what is not there. They say, I want to be with them, but the underlying tone is, I am without them. They imagine a future reunion while emotionally rehearsing rejection. They beg for love while vibrating in loneliness. This contradiction is what delays the manifestation. There is no reward for longing. Longing is not a signal of receiving. It is evidence that you have not yet accepted the thing desired. To align with the energy of another is not to chase, it is to become. You must become one with the mood, the emotion, the state that already contains your desire. If you wish to be missed, feel as if you already are. Walk through the day with the inner knowing that someone is thinking of you, yearning for your return, wondering where you are. This feeling is the magnetic pull. This is the vibrational alignment. You are no longer begging for attention. You are resonating as one who is loved. The one who walks in the assumption of connection sees the world differently. A silence from the other person is no longer a rejection. It is simply part of the bridge. The appearance of distance is not interpreted as loss. It is seen as rearrangement. The inner eye sees beyond the evidence of the senses. It perceives the spiritual thread that connects all minds. That thread cannot be cut, only ignored. When you align with another through the inner world, that thread tightens. And as it tightens, they feel it, not with reason, not with understanding, but with impulse, with dream, with a subtle pull. You cannot do this from a state of emptiness. You must fill yourself with the mood of fulfillment. That is the entire secret. You must abandon the habit of watching, waiting, hoping. You must step into the scene of having, of being, of receiving. If they were missing you now, how would that feel? Would you still feel desperate? Or would there be a quiet confidence, a warmth that stays with you even in solitude? That is the state. That is what you must wear as your mental garment. Thoughts are electric, but feelings are magnetic. The thought sends out the image, but the feeling draws the experience back to you. When you align with their energy, you are not forcing a response. You are becoming the answer. You are becoming the one they remember without trying, the one whose image returns in dreams, the one whose name rises up in unexpected moments. This does not require action on their part. It only requires alignment on yours. Every time you return to thoughts of absence, revise them. Not later, immediately. Say, no, that is not the truth I live by. Then return to the feeling of presence. Say, I am thought of. I am missed. I am deeply remembered. Let that be your silent mantra. Say it until it becomes natural. Say it until the body relaxes into it. Say it until the imagination no longer questions it. You are not lying to yourself. You are waking yourself up to a higher reality. To align with someone spiritually is to trust in the unseen bond more than the visible silence. It is to know that space is no obstacle to energy, that love is not limited by time or distance, that every assumption deeply held must find its echo. This is the law, and those who live by it need not chase, prove, or plead. They simply rest in the knowledge that what is aligned must arrive. There will be moments where doubt knocks, where the silence feels too loud, where the delay tempts you to return to lack. But you must hold firm, not through tension, but through stillness, not through struggle, but through knowing. You are not waiting for the relationship. You are becoming the one who already has it. You are stepping into the version of you that is already missed, already loved, already desired. And as you do, the energy you radiate calls forth its match. The moment you stop broadcasting absence and begin broadcasting connection, everything begins to shift. Not because you forced the outer world, but because you changed your inner vibration. The person cannot resist that alignment because they too are made of thought and feeling. And when your feeling becomes dominant, their thoughts will begin to reflect it. They will not know how or why, but they will feel drawn. That is the reward of alignment. That is the reward of choosing presence over absence. To assume they are thinking of you now is to enter into the only moment that ever truly exists, the now. The secret of influence, attraction, and telepathic communion lies not in a future event, nor in some effort to become worthy of thought, but in the bold, quiet declaration, it is happening now. The assumption of being remembered, being missed, being thought of is not a matter of hope. It is a state of being. And states are not created through effort. They are entered through acceptance. The greatest mistake people make in manifesting another's attention is to project the experience into the future. They will think of me soon, they say. One day they will realize what I meant to them. But the very structure of that thought places fulfillment away from the present. And what is always in the future can never be held. The imagination must claim the now, for now is the only place creation happens. There is no waiting in consciousness, there is only knowing. When you say inwardly, they are thinking of me right now, you are not describing what is happening. You are determining what must be. This is not delusion, it is creation. You are not observing reality, you are setting its tone. You are selecting from the infinite possibilities the one you wish to embody, and by doing so, you make it alive. You breathe into it. You activate its vibration and bring it to the front of awareness, not just your own, but theirs as well. This assumption is not weak, it is not hesitant, it does not look for confirmation, it walks ahead of facts, it wears the coat of certainty long before the weather changes. And when it is worn sincerely, it begins to alter not just your feelings, but your world. The one you love will begin to feel your presence as a quiet echo. Your name will rise within them like a forgotten song, a thought, a dream, a sudden memory. These are the messengers of the assumption that you have made. It is not about forcing their thoughts. That is not your work. Your only task is to become the version of you who is already on their mind. Think not about what they are doing, but from what they are feeling. They are wondering where you are. They are feeling something in the chest, something inexplicable that draws them toward you. They miss you. They replay a memory. They speak your name under their breath. This is not something you hope for. It is something you decide. You must enter this scene with complete naturalness. To assume they are thinking of you is not to beg the universe. It is to settle into a truth. You are not convincing anyone. You are claiming what has always been yours. And in the stillness of that claim, the vibration begins to move. The world around you responds not as a miracle, but as a law. The assumption, when sustained, becomes the only thing the world can reflect. When doubt arises, and it will, you return to the assumption, not with force, but with familiarity, like returning home. You say to yourself, they are thinking of me now. You breathe it in, not as fantasy, but as your dwelling place. You repeat it until it becomes tone, mood, atmosphere. You do not say it to convince, you say it because it is your inner truth. You must also understand that the subconscious does not argue. It accepts what you feel as real. So when you say, they are thinking of me now, and feel it deeply, the subconscious takes that as a command. And once accepted, it begins to organize the outer world to match the inner decree. This is how they begin to dream of you. This is how your image reappears in their life, not through coincidence, but through the working of unseen law. Be mindful of what you speak inside. If you say, they never think of me, the subconscious will also accept that. If you say, I am forgotten, then forgotten you will be. But if you say, they cannot get me off their mind, and feel the weight of that truth, then the image of you will be burned into their awareness, not by effort, but by the power of your own state. When you carry the assumption throughout your day, you change how you walk, how you speak, how you respond. You no longer seek signs. You become the sign. You are no longer trying to receive a message. You live as one who has already received it. That confidence is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is the natural consequence of knowing who you are and what is already true in the unseen. There is great power in the present moment when assumed as complete. If you can say right now, they're thinking of me, and believe it, you begin to influence the connection, not with pressure, but with presence. The longer you remain in this assumption, the more magnetic you become, the more vivid your image becomes in their mind, until one day the invisible becomes visible, and the thought you once dared to believe is spoken aloud. I've been thinking about you. There is a moment after assumption that tests the depth of your faith. It is the moment where nothing has yet appeared, and the silence of the outer world dares you to doubt. This is the moment where most turn back, questioning whether they imagined in vain. But what they do not understand is that creation was already accomplished the moment it was felt. The moment you assumed the wish fulfilled, the seed was sown, and what follows is not inactivity, but incubation. The appearance of delay is not denial. It is preparation. Your work now is not to interfere, but to trust the law and detach from the compulsive need to see it happen. Detachment is not disinterest. It is not apathy. It is not the rejection of your desire. It is the silent confidence that what you have imagined must find its way into form. It is the refusal to disturb the seed with doubt, the refusal to dig it up every hour to see if it has begun to sprout. You do not grow a tree by staring at the soil. You grow it by trusting the invisible process that has already begun beneath the surface. The same is true of your desires. They germinate in the unseen long before they show in the seen. And your belief is the nourishment. When you send a telepathic message, when you assume someone is thinking of you, missing you, drawn toward you, your act is complete in the unseen. The mental and emotional energy you invested has been received. Now your task is to rest in the knowing. The temptation will come to chase, to force, to worry, to check. But each time you do, you undo the very thing you planted. The law does not require your effort, it requires your trust. The law is perfect. It brings to pass what you have accepted as real, not what you have anxiously repeated. There is a rhythm of creation that must be honored. After assumption, there is surrender. After feeling, there is rest. The inner world is where you work. The outer world is where it unfolds. You are not the one responsible for orchestrating how, who, or when. That orchestration belongs to the law. It will move people, circumstances, and even chance itself to mirror what you have felt to be true. But it only does so when you stop interfering. Detachment is that stopping. It is the graceful exhale that says, "It is done." Many misunderstand this principle and think that letting go means giving up. But letting go is not abandonment of desire. It is the expression of faith. When you have truly imagined well, you need not watch the clock. You need not look for signs. The signs will come, but not because you search for them. They come as natural effects of the inner cause. To be detached is to be undisturbed. To remain poised in the truth that all you see around you now is only a shadow of what is coming. There is wisdom in silence. The more you rest in the assumption, the more powerfully it shapes reality. Speak to no one of what you are manifesting unless you are strong enough to withstand their doubt. Protect your inner vision. Guard it like a treasure. The world may not yet see what you know, but that matters not. They are not the cause. Your imagination is. And the moment you relinquish the need for proof, you free the energy that brings the proof into being. You will notice that the desires you most easily manifest are the ones you care least about. Why? Because you are detached. You do not smother them with attention. You imagine it, believe it lightly, and go on with your day. That lightness is not weakness. It is alignment. It is surrender. And it is the very thing that allows the desire to move freely from the unseen into form. In the same way, when you desire someone to think of you, to miss you, and you have assumed that they do, let it go. Walk away from the mental altar with thanksgiving. No, it is handled. Refuse to worry. Refuse to fear. This is your demonstration of faith. Even if days pass, even if there is no immediate contact, do not change your inner speech. Do not revise your feeling. Continue to act, speak, and move as one who has already received. That is the meaning of living from the end. It is not a matter of pretending. It is the refusal to contradict your assumption. The world may not yet reflect your desire, but the law is already moving, and it never forgets a seed rightly planted. Every act of imagination is an act of creation, and every act of surrender is an act of power. To detach is to rise above the appearance of delay. It is to know that your reality is already forming, and that what you feel now must be experienced later. When you live in this way, you become calm, you become centered, you become the embodiment of your desire. And in that embodiment, you no longer seek signs, for you yourself become the sign. What you do once with emotion is powerful. What you do repeatedly with conviction becomes inevitable. Repetition is not the mindless echo of words, it is the deepening of belief through habitual experience of the wish fulfilled. Every time you return to the feeling of your desire already realized, you are reinforcing the invisible structure of its manifestation. You are building, brick by brick, a spiritual bridge from the unseen, and like any structure, that bridge becomes stronger, more tangible, more defined with each pass of your attention across it. There are those who believe that one great imagining is enough, that if you vividly feel it once, your desire will take form. And while this is true in principle, few are able to maintain that initial intensity without being shaken by appearances. The world will reflect to you 1,000 reasons why it has not yet happened, why it cannot happen, why you were foolish to believe. And unless you have fortified your inner world through repetition, you may surrender to those illusions. But the one who returns again and again to the inner scene, to the feeling of already having, becomes immovable. That one walks through life with quiet certainty, untouched by doubt, because they have rehearsed their outcome so deeply that it is no longer imagined, it is assumed. When you desire someone to miss you, to feel your absence like a presence, to think of you in the quiet of their day, you must become the one they cannot ignore, not by force, but by frequency. Each night as you lie in bed, revisit the scene. Imagine them holding your photo, or hearing your name, or waking from a dream in which you appeared. Feel the longing in them as your own. Hear their voice speak words of desire. Let the scene unfold naturally, but let it be repeated often. Do not change the scene each night. Consistency matters. Repetition builds momentum, and momentum moves mountains. Pick one vivid scene that implies your desires fulfilled and return to it until it becomes familiar, even mundane. When it no longer excites you, it has entered the realm of the subconscious. When it becomes natural, it becomes near. The bridge you walk in imagination becomes the path they walk in reality. You must understand the nature of the mind. It accepts as real that which it feels as natural. The first time you imagine being missed, your mind may rebel. It may tell you this is not true, but the 10th time, the 20th, the resistance fades. The image grows roots. The feeling becomes normal. And in that state of mental normalcy, the subconscious accepts the scene and begins its work. This is how beliefs are born, not through logic, but through repeated inner experience. Some believe that repetition dulls the desire, but in truth, repetition hammers the truth into the soul. You are not repeating to beg or to earn. It is not a ritual of pleading. It is an act of reinforcement. You are carving a groove into consciousness, and the deeper the groove, the more naturally your thoughts flow along it. Soon you will find yourself thinking the same thought throughout the day, not because you tried, but because it has become auto. You will walk down the street and hear, "They are thinking of me now," as a whisper in your mind. That whisper is a sign that the bridge has been laid. Even in silence, your repetition continues to work. It does not need loud words or grand gestures. A simple return to the feeling is enough. 5 minutes of deep, consistent imagining each night can reshape the contours of your world. If you keep returning to that inner place, the outer place must change to match it. They must begin to think of you, not because you have forced them, but because you have made it inevitable. You have sent your image so many times into their mind that it can no longer be ignored. The repetition is the language of the subconscious. It responds not to single declarations, but to steady conviction. And the one who repeats from the end, who sees themselves as already having received, builds a rhythm that the universe cannot resist. That rhythm becomes an invitation, and that invitation becomes a reality. You do not need to see results immediately. You only need to return again and again, with love, with clarity. If you understood the power of your inner world, you would never grow tired of revisiting it. You would never see repetition as dull. You would see it as sacred. Each return is a layering of belief. Each return is a strengthening of the bridge. And one morning, without fanfare, without warning, the outer will mirror the inner. A message will come. A memory will be shared. A name. Your name will rise up in the heart of the one you imagine, and they will miss you because you made it so. You are not separate from what you desire. The one you long for is not far from you, nor must you convince them to return. What you seek is already present in the field of imagination, waiting only for your assumption. Thought is not weak when it is fused with feeling. Feeling is not idle when it is anchored in faith. Each time you enter the state of being missed, being loved, being longed for, you are transmitting that truth, not into space, but into the living mind of the other. You have no need to beg. You have no need to wait. The power lies within you now. Imagine from the end. Speak inwardly the words they would say. Rest in the feeling of being remembered. Let the silence after assumption be your greatest evidence. Trust that what you have impressed upon consciousness will return as experience. Whether it comes in a day or in a season, it must come. For the unseen is the cause, and the seen is the shadow. Your inner world is the seedbed of every relationship, every reunion, every silent longing returned. So tonight, when the world is quiet, close your eyes. See their face, hear their voice, feel their absence folding into your presence, and know, without question, they are thinking of you now. Let that knowing be your reality, and the world will follow.